as you can see on a picture up here, you kind of know what we're going to be talking about. It's definitely not Daniel in the lion's den, but it's the same idea. This is an awesome story. We're going to look at this, we're going to look at the physical side of this, but what I want to do is I want to relate it to you guys on a spiritual sense. What I mean by that is everybody this morning has a Goliath in their life, whatever that is. I don't know what your Goliath is this morning, but as we're looking at this and we're going through this, I want you to think about what your Goliath is and how you're going to handle it. You're actually going to handle it in two different ways. Either you're going to run at it or you're going to run from it. What's that going to be based on? It's going to be based on your faith. In yourself? No. It's going to be faith in God. When we look at this story here, Goliath wasn't a little midget. This guy was like 9 feet, 9 inches tall, going up against a guy, David, who they say was probably in his early 20s. Not even close to the size of this guy. We're going to see that the armor that he had, there was no way David was going to win this fight. There's no way, apart from God. And you know, any fight you're in this morning, any fight I'm in this morning, the only way we're going to win it is with God. Period. Done deal. So let's go ahead and look at this. It starts out in 1 Samuel chapter 17, 1 through 3. It says, "Now the Philistines gathered their armies together to battle and were gathered together at Soko, which belongs to Judah, which is being the Jews. They encamped between Soko and Ezekiah and Ephes Dammim. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together, and they encamped in the valley of Elah, and drew up battle array against the Philistines. The Philistines stood on a mountain on one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side, with a valley in between them." Now we're going to look at this in a minute here. You can see this map up there. Basically what they did, and this wasn't unusual, they decided to go, look, you guys, so we just don't have to kill a bunch of people here. Why don't you take your best warrior, and we'll put it against my best warrior, and whoever wins, then we will be your servants. Sounds like a decent deal. I kill a lot of people. Who's the best one here? Well, actually, they were talking about Saul. Remember, Saul was the king at the time. This is before David took over. The Bible says Saul was a head above everybody. So in other words, Saul was a big guy, good-looking guy. Most of your CEOs, look at most of your CEOs we have in the world. Most of them are over 6 feet tall, at least. Most of them. They have this thing about height. Goliath, we're going to see in a minute, was 9 feet, 9 inches tall. This guy had so much stuff on him, there was no way that David was going to be able to get through. Now, if you look on here on the map, this is the valley of Elah right here. This is actually where the fight went on. Okay? This is Ekron. They came from Ekron. This is Gath. You probably heard a lot about Gath. This is where the Philistines were. And David came all the way from Bethlehem. We're going to see in a minute. David was in Bethlehem taking care of the sheep. And we're going to see in a minute where his dad told him, he says, hey, I want you to take a bunch of food, put it on the donkey here, and go out there and drop off the food. David had no idea. He knew there was a battle going on, but he didn't have no idea what was going on. And all of a sudden, he walked right in the middle of this battle. Watch what happens next. Let me show you another picture of this. Here's another picture. What it was, again, was a mountain on one side. They were all up on the mountain. The Philistines on one side. The Jews were on the other side of the mountain. Here's your mountains here. This is the valley. There's another mountain over here. So they're all up here, okay? So here we go. And a champion went out from the camp of the Philistines named Goliath from Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. He had a bronze helmet on his head. He was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of bronze. And he had bronze armor on his legs and a bronze javelin between his shoulders. Now again, I want you to, when you're looking at this, I want you to look at Goliath here as the situation you're in right now. Whatever that Goliath is, you're looking at this thing going, man, this is so huge, I do not know what to do. It could be a family member, it could be your work, it could be finances, it could be whatever. You fill into this of like, You know what it is. Now, first of all, look at this. The word champion here is an interesting word. It's the word ish in the Hebrew. Ish, which basically means man. Ish. Isha is woman. Ish, man. Actually, the Hebrew word here means a middleman, the man between two. The idea is that this was a man who stood between two armies and fought as a representative of his army. Remember I mentioned in the very beginning, they would take a representative from this army, a representative from this army who was going to be Goliath, and he taunted them. We're going to see that for 40 days and 40 nights. Taunted them. He would come out and says, come on, get your best man out here. And he'd go back up there. He'd come back and did this for 40 days and 40 nights. His name, interesting name, Goliath, in the Hebrew is Goliath. That's how you say it. His name means to uncover or to remove. That was interesting. Or it also means press, or like a wine press. Now this guy again was 9 feet 9 inches tall. His armor alone was about as much as I weigh, about 175 pounds. They say that he weighed anywhere from 600 to 750 pounds. 9 feet 9 inches. He was a big boy. Some people say even more. In fact, this isn't the first time that they knew about these guys. Remember when God told the spies to go spy out the land, which is going to be the promised land. This is what he said in Numbers 13:13. There we saw the giants, the descendants of Anak, came from the giants who were like grasshoppers in our sight. And so we were in their sight. O king of Bashan needed a bed over 13 feet long. So these guys weren't new to these guys. So check this out. So he carried a spear or a javelin. This javelin was so big he didn't carry it in his hand. The Bible says he carried it on his shoulders, going this way. How big is your Goliath? Would you keep that in mind? Now the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his iron spearhead weighed 600 shekels. Just the head of it, that's 25 pounds. To give you an idea. That wasn't enough, and he had a shield bearer that went before him. So here's Goliath with a shield bearer, and another guy, and then Goliath behind him. How big is your Goliath? You go, Michael, you don't know how big it is. In fact, I got Goliath, and then I got this other little hump I got to get through. So look what happened. Then he stood and cried out to the armies of Israel and said to them, why have you come out to line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine and your servants of Saul? Choose a man for yourselves and let him come down to me. 40 days and 40 nights he went on about this. If he is able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then you shall be our servants and serve us. And the Philistines said, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. You know what? Whatever your situation is this morning, this is what Satan's saying to you. He's saying, you know what? You can't handle it. Just give it up. Give into it. This is like, look at Goliath as like Satan. He's like a Satan. Defying the armies of Israel. Satan defying you as a Christian. And when Saul and all the Israel heard these words of the Philistines, they go, yeah, no problem, we can get this guy. That's what it says. It says they were dismayed and greatly afraid. How big is your Goliath? Then he goes on. Well, hold on, let me back up just a little bit. This was an unusual request, like I said before. An army would avoid the high cost of battle by pitting its strongest warrior against another strongest warrior. Less bloodshed, right? Now this is interesting here. When it says, when Saul heard these words, Saul had a special reason to be afraid because Goliath was literally calling out Saul. Because remember, Saul was a big guy. Saul by right should have said, it's my job, I'm the king. I need to get up there and fight this guy. You don't see Saul running up there. He was just as afraid as everybody else. In fact, according to 1 Samuel chapter 9, verse 2, it says, and Saul was head and shoulders taller than the other Israelite men. In fact, again, Saul was the logical choice to